Hello, this is Lynette, and it's about time. We're on the 21st Century Watchman channel, and I thank you for coming today. Today, we're studying in our chronological Bible study Judges 19 through 21. We're closing Judges out, and it's going to end with a bang. It's been a bang the entire time, and it's only ending the same way it's always been. And Micah, and now we're here with our boy, no king in Israel. And there was a certain Levite staying in the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, who took her defined it as a woman. She was legitimate, but she was not the main wife. She was wifey, if you will, and she just didn't share in any of the inheritance, but that's what those were. She was wifey, if we're going to use a modern, or using the modern vernacular. That's just what we had going. Disgusted by him, and she left him and went to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah, and remained there for a period of 4 months. She was out. She didn't like him at all. Now, in the other versions, and she went back to her father's house. Then her husband set out and went after her to speak gently to bring her back, taking with him his servants and a pair of donkeys. So this Levite was not poor. He had donkeys were a big deal back then. So he made sure he was taking a pair so that I guess one for a servant, and possibly, one for her, or at least, one for her to she and he to share, and then, one for the servant. However it is, he had stuff. He had, he wasn't without means, this Levite. Um so and she brought him into her father's house, and when the girl's father saw him, he was glad. Mother, probably he was glad to see him or whatever. His father-in-law, the girl's father, prevailed upon him, and he remained with him for 3 days. So his father-in-law was really happy to see him. He was a good guy. Okay, yeah, come on in. They got along well. Now on the fourth day, they got up early in the morning, and he got up early in the morning, and he prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Strengthen yourself with a piece of bread, and afterward you may go." And so they both got there, and they were both too tired. So this went on for, he kept on asking him to stay and stay and stay. And so finally, it became about the fifth day. So, so it says, he had done it the first day, and then they drank, and so he said, "Don't do it." And then, so about 4 or 5 days later, the Levi said he had to go. He was taking his concubine, and they were in a row, right? Um, so But the man was unwilling to spend the night, so he got up and left and came to a place opposite of Jebus. Right, Jebus was the uh, formerly, or well, was going to be the new. That's what Jerusalem's name was. And with him was a pair of saddled donkeys. His concubine also was with him, so he was on this. He went to a place that was opposite of Jerusalem. It was not Jerusalem, and with him was a pair of saddled donkeys, like he said. His concubine was also with him. And when they were near Jebus, the day the day was almost gone. And the servant said to his master, "Please come and let's turn into aside into this town, okay, of the Jebusites, and spend the night in it." Right. However, his master said to him, "We will not turn aside into a city of foreigners who are not of the sons of Israel." So the Levite didn't want to go to where he didn't want to go where the Jebusites were, because he didn't want to be bothered with the foreigners. He knew they had issues, and because they were Jews or Israelites at the time, excuse me, and he was not being bothered with any of that foolishness. Right? He was like, "I'm out." So, and he said to his servant, "Come and let's approach one of these places, and we will spend the night in Gibeah or Ramah." Right? So they passed along and went their way, and the sun set on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. So these are Benjamin's people that he's spending the time with this time, right? He's with them. And when they entered, they sat down in the public square of the city, for no one took them into his house to spend the night. Usually, when people came to town, they would get to the men would come into the center of the town, and somebody would say something nice to them, and invite them in, like what happened with Lot, who was by the gates, and he invited those two angels in to his house. Nobody was sitting, and nobody invited this man and his servant and his concubine into his house at that time, right? Then behold, an old man was coming out of the field from his work at evening, right? Now the man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was staying in Gibeah. But the men of the place were Benjamites. So this man was from the hill country of Ephraim, but the people that would live there in Gibeah were Benjamites. He wasn't a Benjamite. He was from Ephraim's tribe. Anyway, he raised his eyes and saw the traveler in the public square of the city. And the old man said, Where are you going? And where do you come from?" And he said to him, "We are passing through. I'm passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim." Remember, Bethlehem's going to become really important to us at one point, at some point in our little lives, especially with the fact that Jesus, that's his birthplace. We love that, right? So excited about that. Anyway, so he says, "But I'm now going to my house, and no one will take me into his house. Nobody's going to take this man to his house." He's like, "Well, what's going on? This is a very inhospitable city." He's just not believing it. He says, "Yet there is both." He says, "But I am now going to my house." So this is what the man says. Um, and no one will, it says, and no one will take me. I'm sorry, let me go back it up a little bit. "We are passing from Bethlehem into Judah to the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, for I am from there. And I went to Bethlehem in Judah, but I am now going to my house, and no one will take me into his house. Yet there is both straw and feed for our donkeys." So we don't need nothing from anybody, but they won't give us anything. That's what he's saying. "And also bread and wine for me and your female slave." And the young man who is with your, this is what the other man's saying now. This man says, "I've got stuff for you, and I've got feed and everything for your stuff." This is great. This is wonderful. This man's inviting him to his house. "You only let me take care of all your needs. However, do not spend the night in the public square." So he told him, "Don't spend the night here, though." So the old man knew something was up. So he took him into his house and fed the donkeys, and they washed their feet and ate and drank. While they were celebrating, behold, the men of the city, certain worthless men, surrounded the house, pushing one another at the door. And they spoke to the owner of the house, the old man, saying, "Bring out the man who entered your house." Now nobody could come out and greet this man and offer him to stay in the house, but they can come to the door, tell him to send him out. Can we say Sodom and Gomorrah revisit it, right? So bring out the man who entered your house, and we may have relations with him. We wanted to have sex with the man. With the man. And he had a concubine and he had a serpent. They only asked for the man though. So here we go. And the man, the owner of the house said, "No, my brothers, please do not act so wickedly. Since this man I has come into my house, do not commit this vile sin. Here is my virgin daughter and the man's concubine." So the man's giving him his virgin daughter and his concubine. Right? "Please let me bring them out, then rape them." I don't know if that would have been the move, but okay. I thought they were supposed to be protecting the women. I don't know if that would have been the move, but apparently, the that homosexual act, that same sex act, was so vile to these people that they weren't. This is not working. Because I wouldn't have given up my daughter. These are just my thoughts. I don't know that I would have. And wouldn't he have wanted to stand up for them? I don't understand why he would do that, but mine's not the reason why. So the man seized his concubine and brought her outside to them, and they raped her. And so they didn't ask for the daughter. Um, yeah, so the man seized his concubine and brought her outside to them, and they let her go at the approach of dawn. As the day began to dawn, the woman came and fell down at the doorway of the man's house where her master was until full daylight. When her master got up in the morning, and he went to sleep, he wasn't at the door when she got there. He wasn't sitting there worried. He didn't go out because he was still worried about his own safety. And he went to sleep. Now he had already done this sojourn to go get the woman. She had already left him and had been gone for 4 months. And he went to go get her to woo her back. And then he let her go to get raped. All right. I've got no words. This is unthinkable, unconscionable, if you will. I'm just saying this is not okay. All right. When her master got up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went to go on his way, he went to go on his way. Then behold, his concubine was lying at the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. And he said to her, "Get up and let's go." But there was no answer. Then he put her on the donkey, and the man set out, right? And went to his home. When he entered his house, he took a knife and seized his concubine and cut her into 12 pieces, limb by limb. In other words, he dismembered her, like a Levite would do an offering. He had had plenty of experience because that's what they did, right? I'm still going. Then he sent her throughout the territory of Israel. All who saw it said, in other words, he sent it to all 12 tribes. And all who saw it said, nothing like this has ever happened or been seen from the day when the son of Israel came up from the land of Egypt to this day. Consider it, make a plan, and speak up. So we sent it to them with a message. This is unconscionable. What this is my concubine. They understand this is a bad thing that's happened. So what we have from chapter 19, we have the man going after the concubine who had left him, wooing her back, staying 4 or 5 days with the father-in-law. Then he takes her and travels with her, gets to a town, and an older man from Ephraim, he gets to a Israelite town. Benjamites ruled this area, to Gibeah. And then what happens? The Gibeonites, or I won't call them that, the Benjamites came out and asked for this man, demanded this man, and the man sent his concubine out to be raped. And she was gang raped all night until the morning. She found her way back to where the master was, died on the doorstep because he was on his way. Now, if she hadn't come, what would have happened? She'd have just been out there. He took her back home and sent out the message. So now it's getting ready to be on. Chapter 20. Then all the sons of Israel from Dan to Beersheba, including the land of Gilead, came out and assembled, as one person to the Lord at Mizpah. And the leaders of all the people, all the tribes of Israel, took their stands in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew the sword. Now the sons of Benjamin heard what the sons of Israel had gone up to Mizpah. Now they heard about it because somebody was telling, I'm sure. And the sons of Israel said, "Tell us, how did this wickedness take place?" So the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, and he told them all that had happened, right? So he says, "And I took hold of my concubine and cut her into pieces and sent her throughout the land of Israel's inheritance. For they have committed an outrageous sin and vile act in Israel. Behold, all you sons of Israel, give your response and advice here. Speak up. Y'all better say something." Then all the people rose up as one person. They were on one accord. Sound like a back in the Acts, the early church. "Not one of us will go to his tent, nor will any of us go home. But now this is the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up against it by lot, and we will take 10 men out of 100 throughout the tribe of Israel, and 100 out of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000 to supply provisions for the people, so that when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, they may punish them for all the vile sin they have committed in Israel." So Gibeah heard it. Why did Gibeah? The people from Gibeah, Benjamin heard it because he sent those 12 pieces out to everybody. So Benjamin got a piece too. Now, it didn't say all the men of Gibeah came. I know that's not what the word said. It didn't say. It said the men of the city, certain worthless. It says certain worthless men. It didn't say all of the men. It says certain worthless men. Okay. So a few bad apples. Here we go. So, but the sons, and so Now then, turn over. So they went to the Benjamites and said. So then the tribe of Israel sent men from the entire tribe of Benjamin, saying, to the entire tribe, what is this wickedness that has taken place among you? Now then, turn over the men um, that have done this wickedness, right? The worthless men who are in Gibeah, so that we may put them to death and remove this wickedness from Israel. But the sons of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the sons of Israel. They would not let him go. They wouldn't bring him forth. Now, if that had been Joshua, we'd have found out who that was. He asked them to send him, and they refused. So here we go. Instead, the sons of Benjamin gathered from the cities to Gibeah to go out to battle against the sons of Israel. Now, there were only like 20, if we recall. They only were like 27,000 of them. It was about like 27,000 of them. We look at the number. And then against these 400,000 foot soldiers. That's almost a 2-to-1, a 20-to-1, situation. It's a lot here. It's a lot that they're going against, but they're willing to fight for theirs. They're not giving the men up. Loyalty. When we're disloyal to the wrong people, if you look at Jennifer LeClaire's book on exposing prophetic witchcraft, she is a part in there, but that loyalty to prophets or church leaders or whatever, just unreasonable loyalty is a sign of witchcraft. Can we say something going on here? Because this is ridiculous. Still going. So so they went to they did it. Benjamin were counted 26,000 men who drew their sword. Told you, almost 27,000. Besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, who were counted 700 choice men. Out of all the people, 700 choice men were left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. So they were ready. Then the men besides Benjamin were counted, 400,000 men who drew. Besides the men of Israel, besides Benjamin, were counted, 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these men were of war. Okay. They went out to war. So now the sons of Israel set out, went up to Bethel, and inquired of God and said, now, first thing they did was inquire of God. That's the first thing you do. Before you go out to fight, you better ask God some questions. Bruh, should I do this? Is this the one? Are you gonna hand this over to me? Just like Joshua did. Joshua and Moses inquired of the Lord before they made those big steps. These people here are trying to follow, even though they doing what they want to do, according to how they feel about things. They are making them this war move with the Lord in mind. So then the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. See, they could ask him who should go up. So the sons of Israel got up in the morning and camped, because it asked, who shall go up first for us to battle against the sons of Benjamin? They didn't ask the Lord, would he give them over to their hand? He just asked who should go up. Maybe that's the mistake. So the sons of Israel got up in the morning and camped against Gibeah. The men of Israel went to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel lined up for battle against them at Gibeah. And then they got struck to the ground. 22,000. The Israelites the sons of Israel were struck down by the Gibeon, the Benjamites. 22,000. But the people, and so it was just really sad. But the men of Israel, so it says, but the men of Israel showed themselves courageous and lined up for battle again in the place where they had lined up themselves on the first day. This was the first day, 22,000 they lost. And then the sons of Israel went up and wept before the Lord. They cried before the Lord this time. Until the evening, and inquired of the Lord, shall we go again and advance the battle? And advance to battle against the sons of Benjamin. And he says, yeah, go up again. Go on. I'd be wondering, personally, Lord, well, you told me to go the first time. I probably would have asked about that before I inquired the second time. I probably would have asked, but it's just me. What do I know? So the sons of Israel came against the sons of Benjamin on the second day, and they went out and they lost 18,000. So we're at 40,000 men we've lost. We're at 40,000. We've lost 10% of the people that we started off with. I'd be a little concerned. Then all the sons of Israel and all the people went up and all the people went up to the Bethel, and they wept and remained there before the Lord and fasted that day and evening. So they went from just weeping, from asking to weeping, now fasting and weeping. Got to have that fast in there. Got to be, there's got to be humility. Um, I heard a prophet say that there's that fasting is humility for the soul. That's humbling. And we need to be able to do that. And they hadn't done that before. Still going. And they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the sons of Israel inquired of the Lord for the, and they asked him, shall I yet go out to battle against the son of my brother Benjamin, or shall I stop? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will hand them over to you. On the third day. There we go, on the third day. So Israel set men in ambush around Gibeah, and the sons of Israel went up against the sons of Benjamin on the third day and lined up. And then they lost, they struck them down, because and Gibeah was, the men of Gibeah, the Benjamites, were laughing. Why would they come back against it? He says they are defeated before, because they killed some more men, right? They're defeated before, just like they were the first time. But the sons of Israel said, let's flee so that we may draw them away from the city to the roads. And then all the men of Israel rose up from their place and lined up at Baltimore. And men of Israel in ambush charged from their place from Moregabah. And then 10,000 choice men from all Israel came against Gibeah, and the battle became fierce. But Benjamin did not know what disaster was close to them. And the Lord struck Benjamin before Israel. The Lord struck them. He didn't do it themselves. They didn't do it themselves. The Lord struck them. So that the sons of Israel destroyed 25,100 men of Benjamin that day. That means they only had a few left. So the sons of Benjamin saw that they were defeated. When the men of Israel gave ground to Benjamin because they relied on the men in ambush whom they had set up against Gibeah, the men in ambush hurried and rushed against Gibeah. The men in ambush also deployed and struck all the city with the edge of the sword. Now everybody in the city, the women too, and the children, everybody had to go. So there we are. So it says at the end, so I'm going to go fast forward, but 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon. Of Rimmon. And they remained at the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. The men of Israel then turned back against the sons of Benjamin and struck them with the edge of the sword, both the entire city and with the cattle and all they found. And they also set on fire all the cities which they found. Benjamites were wiped out for the most part. That was a civil war. So this is if I recall, this is our first civil war so far. We haven't been fighting against each other, not like that. So this is a civil war. This is the North versus the South. And it looks like the South will not be rising again. These are my thoughts. Chapter 21. Now it says, now the men of Israel had sworn to Mizpah, saying, none of us shall give his daughter to Benjamin in marriage. So that people came to Bethel and sat there before God until evening and raised their voices and wept profusely. So they were feeling bad about what happened, because they didn't want to, they were saying, I'll say what they said. They said, why, Lord God of Israel, has this happened in Israel, that one tribe is missing today from Israel? They wiped them out. It's civil war. Let's be careful about the turn of events. That Levite should have taken some responsibility for the fact that he sent his concubine out there. He should have been the one to go. I'm just saying. And let's not forget, the tribe of Benjamin should have given those certain men up. There was responsibility on both sides, but the priest or the Levite priest should have known better. He should have used wisdom. Nobody sought the Lord until the end, the right way, until it was time to fight at the end. And now they got this, I'm gonna kill everybody spirit. I don't see where they sought the Lord to find out whether or not they should kill them all. They just went on and did that thing. And and kept on going and burned the cities down. It was a lot going on. But the Lord struck them down. It did say the Lord struck them down, 25,100. But they didn't, they kept going for them. So it says, so 18,000 men of Benjamin fell. All of these were valiant men. So this is when they surrounded them before. They surrounded them. The Lord had struck down 25,100, and and then it says together 18,000 fell, and then the rest were ran away, and so on and so forth. It's a lot of men that fell, and we know that we had we had already lost 40,000 of the Israelites, and now we're here um, with these Benjamites. A lot of people, almost 70,000 people dead because the Levite let his concubine out when the men came for him, and he didn't protect her. He didn't stand up for her. So, and the sons of Israel were sorry for their brother Benjamin and said, "Today one tribe is cut off from Israel. What are we to do for wives for those who are left? Since we have sworn by the Lord to give them not to give them any of our daughters." So what they did was, as and you will find in the word, they they looking for a loophole. They says, "Go and," says, what should we do? He says, "So go and strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword along." So because Jabesh Gilead didn't go fight, by the way, they didn't go fight. They were the only tribe that didn't go fight, and the only territory that didn't go fight. And so they struck everybody in that city who was not married or had not ever been with a man or had never laid with a woman. So they only kept the virgins, the virgin women. They only kept the virgins. And so that left them with quite a few virgins to be able to give to these men that were there. They needed 600 women. And so what it said was they came up with 400 women there. And then they found a feast and they said, well, how are we going to get rid of the rest of these men? Because we don't want the tribe of Benjamin to be lost. So we need more women. What they did was, like I said, they got this 400 women from the group of people that they went to go kill because they refused to fight. Because they were all supposed to fight together as one. They were supposed to be on one accord with the fighting, like they did when they took the land. So they felt like they had to govern the land together as well. This was a real democracy. This was the whole government by the people, for the people, all that. This was, of, by, for, whatever it is. This is a real democracy. Before there was a United States, this is a real democracy. He allowed that. Look at Lord. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody's talking about that part, but this was a real democracy. And, even though they sought the Lord and they were supposed to, this was how a real democracy was supposed to. This is really in God we trust. Just throwing it out there. All right. So they said, "Behold, there is the feast of the Lord from year to year in Shiloh, which is on the north side of Bethel and on the east side of the road to Shechem, and on the south side of Lebanon." And they commanded the sons of Benjamin, saying, "Go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and watch and behold, if the daughters of the Shiloh come out." So these were some of their daughters, but they knew that their daughters went into Shiloh and went to this feast, and they went to go capture them. So all 600 men ended up with women. They got 200 women from there. They let them kidnapping. So we saw gang rape, we saw civil war, bloody massacre, and now we've seen kidnapping. It's a lot going on for people that are on their own. I'm just these are my thoughts. I'm about to go over, so please excuse me. I'm about to go over. Okay. So the sons of Benjamin did that, and they ended up with wives. And in those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And that's the end of the book. And everyone did what was right in his own eyes. That's what we're doing right now in this world. Everyone's doing what's right in his own eyes. Because if you don't do that, if you say anything against what they're doing, you get canceled. This was also kind of a cancel culture, if you will, our first cancel culture, because they were doing what was right in their own eyes, and you couldn't tell them no. You can't tell the people in this world right now no either. So we've got cancel culture, and you see what results from cancel culture: civil war and gang rape. How unfortunate. But God is in the saving business, and He wants to save all of us. And if there's any of you out there that is not saved, I invite you right now into relationship with Him today, and say this prayer with me. Father, it is written in your word that that if I confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in my heart that you have raised him from the dead, I shall be saved. Therefore, Father, I confess that Jesus is Lord and is my Lord. I make him Lord of my life right now. I believe in my heart that you have raised Jesus from the dead. I renounce my life with Satan and close the door to any of the devices, any of his devices. I thank you for forgiving me for all of my sin. Jesus is indeed my Lord, and I'm a new creation. Old things have passed away, and all things have become new. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. You are one with us in the body of Christ. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. Join us tomorrow as we open up the book of Ruth. Judges was no joke. God bless you.